It's time. I think it's time that everyone take these precautions if you're going to go out into public. The situation with Ebola is being clearly hidden from us by our government. They're just choosing to not cover it. They're choosing to not deal with it, choosing to ignore it. They've got their head in the sand and they think it's just going to go away. The most experienced experts from the United States aren't even allowed to be within 1,000 miles of what's going on, and they're just going to let this fester. And the International Red Cross is begging for help because they have said clearly it is out of control. They've done everything they can, short of setting off a worldwide panic. Now, to put everything in perspective, back in 2014, we deployed the 101st Airborne Division to West Africa to stop that outbreak. And I want to show you the numbers. Now, this is a 2014 article. 2,000 deaths in Liberia, 600 in Sierra Leone, 739 in Guinea. Now, reportedly, right now, the deaths haven't reached that yet, but they are saying that 1 in 4, 25%, conservatively, might not even be known about. And this time, this particular outbreak is in a war zone. West Africa wasn't at war when we went there. This virus could be all over the globe. This gets to India, and it's over. I think China will be able to stop it, just because they don't have any problem shutting down their borders. But India, it's not far away. And every article you look at, even the most recent ones, International Federation of the Red Cross says Ebola at tipping point in Congo with 2,000 cases that they know of. It killed 11,000 people in 2014. That was something that went on for over a year. This has only been going on for less than a year. And they don't have... This is their Twitter account from today. The only way we will see an end is if we reset the response and place communities at the center of all of our efforts. And this is from their Twitter. That's their pinned tweet. And this is from 5 June. So this is why I'm saying at this point, going out, have these. If you have to deal with people, keep these. If you have to touch anything, and I mean anything at all, under no circumstances, enter any establishment that is a 24-hour establishment. Why? Because that's where the homeless go, and they are the most at risk with the way that our society is structured, that we can travel literally across the country in a day. Actually, a matter of hours. It's not just going to be Dallas. It's not just going to be LA. It's going to be New York. It's going to be Chicago. I live here in Florida, and this is a huge tourist destination. Orlando, Tampa, Miami, all of those places. Honestly, I wouldn't use a public restroom now for any reason. I mean, plan appropriately, I guess. And this is something that a lot of people think about. Envelopes and letters and paper, they are just carriers. And every letter, everything that you touch regarding that's been through the mail system has been in direct biological contact with everything else in the mail system. Just even if it's in passing, that your letter touches another letter that touched another letter. I mean, back in 2014, we had to deploy the military to stop this. And even then, it was touch and go for a long time. And if we don't do something soon, it's going to be a worldwide disaster. And I mean very soon, like in the next month. I hope there are already plans. I seriously hope that our current government, isn't so deluded that they think this is just all going to die out and go away if they just ignore it and keep our experts 1,000 miles away. Because it doesn't have to come directly from Africa to here. It can go from Africa to India, India to maybe Indonesia, Indonesia to Europe, and then here. One way or the other, it gets here. And by the time that happens, there will be no stopping it. And like they say, if 1 in 4 is undetected, out of what they're saying now, 2,000 cases, what's that, 500? 500 undetected cases with a transmission rate of what they're calling flat now is 1 to 1. That would be, 1,000 cases next week, 2,000 cases the week after that, undetected. Undetected and not having any idea what direction it's going or where it's at. And like I said in yesterday's video, there is no way to determine from your standpoint and mine in this country whether someone did or did not die of Ebola unless A, we would hire our own independent microbiologists to go get samples and then test them for ourselves. We're totally slaved to our government and the media who's going to either report it or not. There's a million things that can cause somebody to bleed out from the inside. And if the doctors are ordered, do not report this, do not disclose this, do not discuss this, test for everything. And what if they say test for everything but Ebola? That way you can say, no, we couldn't determine what the cause of death was. Because you have to specifically test for Ebola. And if they tell them not to, so that they can force them to not ever have to admit that it's here, because then, of course, people would ask questions and people would say, why did you drop the ball on this? So it's just another, I guess, piece of evidence of the current government just wanting to shove its head in the sand on stuff like this, and it's going to be up to us to do stuff like this. It's not perfect. It's not ideal, but it's about the only thing that I can think of right now. That I have a small platform here. If I could use it to maybe save a few lives, it's probably more important than anything else we're talking about. There's issues going on in Venezuela right now. They've reopened their border with Colombia, and strangely enough, there aren't these huge throngs of people leaving Venezuela. In fact, there are more people going back to Venezuela than are going the other direction. There are people coming to Colombia, but they're there to buy things that can't be purchased in Venezuela because of the sanctions. So at this point, Colombia is actually, I guess, if you would look at it from the twisted standpoint of our government, they would be colluding with the current established government, legal government in Venezuela to provide goods and services. I wonder if we're going to start sanctioning Colombia because they're allowing medicine and food and different things to be purchased and walked back across the border. And Venezuela's put its foot down with Canada as well and halted services at the consulates. See, hopefully Code Pink won't hear about this and go screw that up like they did here in D.C. But I'm not holding my breath. But it's going to have to be taken care of one way or the other here. It's not going, this thing with Ebola is not going away. There are bodies that are missing. There are hundreds of cases going unreported. We don't know where they are. They could be presenting in other parts of the world as other things, just like we saw in Fiji, which, based on all the information that we have now, it's pretty clear what that was. No 24-hour places, plastic gloves, face covers. Sanitize your mailbox on a daily basis. I know that seems like it's, a strange thing to do, but think about it. If it's just going to take one person who has that, they touch the mail, they mail something, it goes into that box, it touches all the other letters, that touches the mail carrier, that touches all the other letters. It doesn't take very long. Especially these days when it's so humid, you have the moisture. And I'll zoom in on this one more time, just so people can see what the numbers were back, I guess, when we had a government that gave a damn. And this is when they deployed the 101st Airborne to stop this. 3,834 cases, 2,069 deaths. Here in Liberia, that was when they deployed. And I'll link this so that you can read it for yourself. U.S. troops, there we go. U.S. troops head to Africa for Ebola mission. That's really kind of what needs to happen. And I guess I'll leave it there. Like, share, subscribe.